got a hash here now. Let's see if that works. You can type in visit stash and the hash. See if we can download that. Manifest entry not found. Okay, that's a problem. Was this? Then post it in what channel you have. Probably the Swarm. Go Ethereum Swarm. No, that's the Ethereum Swarm. Yeah, you posted this in here? No, that's old. I can probably use that too. See if it works. Okay, there we go. That's actually now directly hosted from Swarm. So the nice thing about this is that this is not just shimming here, and the user for the user it looks like a real BZZ URL. But if I'm also checking the actual website for the dApp, it looks also like it's hosted on the. You go to location. We see it's on the BZZ protocol. The host is the current hash. So it means basically if you have a separate hash, each hash gets its own local storage. So you could have a dApp running its own little container. Ideally, this is running through ENS, and then your domain would be, right, the local storage. But as you can see, everything is nicely resolved, and for the JavaScript application, it looks like it's the real deal. You can also upload a Swarm folder or a file. So I can just take that's a good file picture, yeah. So you can simply basically upload a file to Swarm and it's immediately accessible. You immediately have the hash of the file and it's uploaded in Swarm, and that's basically just a raw image. Yes, I'm sorry, so one sec here. So this will be integrated in a nicer way. Right now it's just under develop, but basically clicking here allows you to select any kind of file. And it even can upload a whole application. Let me just try that. So these are the build files of, I think, just uploading this whole build file should upload the whole wallet, as it currently is to Swarm, and it should technically just run. And it does. Yeah, so what this basically does is it uploads it to Swarm and it uses the index.html as the default file, as the fallback file. And this way it just works. And let me see if we have now a path. It should technically just fall back to the default file as well. Surprise, surprise, and it works, yes. Yeah, so, I mean, technically it's already working, as you can see. Once we have ENS integration, where we really resolve each different protocol different on ENS, then it will just work, and you have here vz.colon and your whatever name, domain name.eth. Yeah, that's adding a few features, obviously Swarm and so on integration, but also things like using, for example, Infura on the start, so that basically you open up Mist and it will work immediately. You never have to sync. It's all syncing under the background. You don't really have to care about that. That be replaced by the light client as soon as it's really working for complex applications. And a lot of other things, like obviously, like that you can assign arbitrary data, a whole account management in Mist, so that you can add HD wallets, paper wallets, hardware wallets, normal private keys. And yeah, there's a lot of things in the pipeline, and we make Mist great again, if that all works out right. Okay, maybe we can have a panel discussion now and talk a little bit more about Swarm roadmap, and Mist or whatever, and answer questions. I mean, the big features is, I mean, making, for example, Swarm and ENS work already makes it a full-featured browser where you can basically just run any kind of website completely decentralized, right? With the new Whisper, we also have ways to have nice chat communication, immediate communication. I can look at our roadmap, in fact. Like a nice to have feature, for example, would be in Mist itself to have some kind of like a trust symbol in the corner here, up here. So this would allow you to see, okay, this is a dApp. There's some kind of meta information about the dApp. There's kind of trust scale, for example, it says you have a checkbox to enable HTTP. Maybe by default it's disabled, so that you basically can be sure your dApp is not communicating to the outside world and it's only going through trusted sources. Some kind of rating system where people maybe verified the contracts or links to the contracts the dApp communicates to. The same can be for actually making transactions. When you make a transaction to an account, you will see what kind of account it talks to, some rating system and metrics about this account, if things are verified, and this really increases a lot, like the trust level, right? And there's a few metrics we can just pull automatically. Others will be maybe hosted on the blockchain. And easier account selection. Currently it's a bit complicated with this here in the corner. This has to be a lot more streamlined in terms of you just like switch your accounts. Basically you can be another person for your dApp. You can like open 3 times the same application and be a different person for the dApp, and this way kind of like hide or like change your identity in some way. We want to have a better node indicator. So currently we have this here, you see block numbers and all kind of technical data which most people really don't understand, right? Like they look at numbers, block number and time and peer, and they don't even care what this is. So we want to replace it with a nice little green dot which shows you kind of connectivity. It's alive because it's pulsing based on blocks coming in. You will see pending transactions in this node on this circle, so you can click on that. You see all your pending transactions you just currently have sent. You see the status of those. So if we integrate this in the Mist UI, the advantage is that basically not every dApp has to do that, right? Because basically Mist is really keeping you track of what you just did on the network, without that every dApp like builds its own little indicator of whatever they do. Obviously Windows for signing, transaction, full account management, importing, exporting, and so on, so on. So that is also easier for people. So currently, if you want to back up, you go to backup accounts, and then you see a folder, the key store, which you have to back up. That's obviously not convenient for what people are used to. In the new Mist, the HD wallet will be the default. So there you have a seed you can back up. Maybe. We definitely discussed that, but yeah, it's very possible. But yeah, it's still there's the question of how exactly you know then later your Swarm hash in order if you lose your computer or so. Yeah, you don't. I mean, with the HG wallet you have the advantage. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's just have to be thought out how it can be done in a secure way, and also about if people use mydoc123 and encrypt all their keys on Swarm, that might be not so smart, right? So there, yeah, definitely we keep this in mind, and we also want to have custom pages for example, like if you type in eth:// and you have an address, you see like by default the account balance, if this address is a contract, if it has code and so on. Not as full-fledged as Etherscan, but more like a simple thing to access basic information about the blockchain through the browser URL. Maybe also for Whisper, maybe show a default folder structure for Swarm if there's no default file put in place. So a little bit like we had this directory structure in the past on like normal HTTP websites. This index thing from Apache. Yeah, there's a few better things of how you handle and switch networks. That's, by the way, here, auto-uploading to Swarm, your user profile. Objects should look like. It's very minimal, and it's like a bare bone thing which we don't have to change in the future, and then you can build all kinds of libraries on top. For example, Web3, the old and the new one, they will use the Ethereum provider under the hood to talk to the node, and that will most likely be also implemented by Status IAM and MetaMask, so that you build your dApp with one basic provider. You come up with your own Web3 library or whatever you use, and you can just talk. As long as there's an Ethereum provider available, you know you're in an Ethereum-based browser and you can talk to the Ethereum network. Kind of currently is missing. You already can switch nodes and switch the network and do a few things. There's even already integrated the Mix IDE as a separate window where you can like develop smart contracts and you can connect to your where do you connect to your anyway, that changed. It's new. Yeah, so it would be also nice to have some kind of easy way to like start a private chain with your own custom settings in this, then be able to develop. You can write your smart contract here, you can see your dApp here, you can have your developer tools here to debug it, and then you can use Mist pretty much as you would use Chrome today to build any kind of application. Remix? I think so, yeah. I think it... I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so. But I mean, if we have the native integration of Swarm, that can be even easier. Yeah, so there's a few more things interface-wise which will improve, but that's kind of the rough roadmap of where we are going. That's it. Thanks.